As we move into the latter stages of the year 2017, it's starting to look like 2017 might end up being as bad as 2016. Within a week span, we've lost one of the greatest actors in the mob genre that we've ever seen, one of the most prolific character actors that we've ever seen in modern times, the greatest manager in WWE history, and now reports are saying that we've lost one of the greatest boxers to ever lace him up. Jake LaMotta died yesterday, late yesterday, I believe, at the age of 95. He had been admitted to hospice care in recent weeks, and he died of dysphagia pneumonia. He was 95, as I said. And when I think of Jake LaMotta, I think of so many different things. I think of one of the greatest and toughest figures in the history of the sport of boxing. I think of the 6 fights that he had against Sugar Ray Robinson. Though he only won 1 fight of the 6, they were all close. In those fights, he knocked down Sugar Ray Robinson several times. He was the first man to defeat Sugar Ray Robinson, if memory serves me correctly. And he never went down. That's one of the, I guess it's one of the things that will always be remembered about him. He never went down. And I always maintain that he at least was an inspiration to an extent to the Rocky character that would be created 30-something years later by Sylvester Stallone. I guess some people could say that some of the other inspirations for Rocky may have been Rocky Marciano, perhaps even to an extent Joe Frazier. I think that Rocky Balboa was a collection of all these great fighters, but Jake LaMotta was the blueprint. And his life was very colorful and turbulent at times. He, of course, was tied to the mob. Some people say that the mob helped him win some fights. I think that the mob actually probably led to him losing some fights. He had to take a dive. The mob controlled boxing a lot back in the 40s and 1950s. And I think they prevented him, because of the type of personality he was very independent. He wasn't subservient. They prevented him from getting the title shots that he most likely probably deserved. And I think it was in the late 1940s, 1949, I think it was, when he fought the great fighter Marcel Cerdan for the championship, and he won. And they were supposed to have a rematch, I think, but that's when Cerdan sadly died in that. I think it was a plane crash in 1949, I think it was. And he fought until 1954, and he compiled an overall record. I think it was 83 wins, 19 losses. Some of the losses were very dubious. 4 draws with 30 knockouts. And, of course, he was never dropped in his career. He got in some trouble later on in his life. I think he did some jail time when he was supposedly, I think he set up some friends of his with a girl that, to his knowledge, he said he didn't know was underage, but, you know, he caught a charge for that down in the South. It might have been Florida or whatever. He did some jail time, and, you know, his career had a second act. He was a very colorful character, like I said, very colorful character. And, of course, in 1980, there was that wonderful movie made based upon his life, Raging Bull, which I think I'm going to look at today in memory of Jake LaMotta. Of course, Robert De Niro played Jake LaMotta. Joe Pesci played his brother, Joey LaMotta, who died in 1991. And Jake LaMotta had some tragedy in his life. Back in the year 1998, 2 of his sons died tragically. One, I think, died in a car crash or a plane crash, or I think it was a plane crash. not private, I think it was a commuter jet, died in a plane crash, and I think the other son died of cancer. And but you know, in life you have tragedy, you have great things happen to you as well. But today, a very sad thing happened. The loss of a legend. But he had a very long life. He lived to be 95 years old. So that's that, man. Rest in peace, Jake LaMotta. Tell me what you guys think.